Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I am so excited. Let's see, I just want to make sure you guys are on here. And we will get started here in just a minute. How's everyone doing? All right. So, if you can hear me, if you can see me, say hi. Go ahead and send me a thumbs up or wave or however you feel like saying hi this evening. We will get started here in just a minute. Tell me where you're from. I am currently in Cookeville, Tennessee. That is where Just Tea is, and that's where I live. Actually, Sparta, Tennessee is where our business is, but it's right next door. I am trying to make sure that I share that we're going live right now. And then we will get started. I will send you a copy of, I'm going to paste a URL in the comments here. If you click on that URL, it's going to give you the notes for this evening, and you can go ahead and take it, print it, whatever you want to do. That will give you an opportunity to follow along with the same things that I'm doing next week. So live and learn, right? I'm trying to figure out this technology stuff. It's funny because 3 minutes before 6, every smoke alarm in my house went off, and I'm trying to figure out this live stream thing. And unfortunately with YouTube, they won't let you show a screen as well as you see my face. So what we're going to do is I've provided a web address which has the file that I'm going to use in it. You can print it, or you can view it at any time, and I will also put it on our Facebook page as well. So we're about 1 minute past, and I'm going to go ahead and get started here in just a second. If you let me know where you're from, I'd love to know. We've got about 7 or so people on here, which is kind of exciting. Hopefully y'all can talk to each other, say hi. Okay. So before I begin, I just want to say that I am so happy that you've chosen to make an impact on your life, your loved one, or even your friend, or your pet, right? By choosing to use Essiac tea. I recognize that you're looking for answers and hope this information provides you with clear instructions for when and how to use Essiac, and how much should be taken. My number one priority is to get you answers to your questions on Essiac. Please feel free to reach out via the Essiac Tea Users Group on Facebook. That is our massive group that's got almost 30,000 people on it. You can get answers to all kinds of questions, see all kinds of posts from previous individuals. We do have some people that aren't currently on the Essiac Tea Users Group that know about Essiac through other platforms. So that is a good opportunity for you to get on there, say hi to other people, and learn more about Essiac. Please feel free to reach out there, or you can always email me. My email address is justtllc@gmail.com. JUSTTEALLC@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you as I do every day. And before we begin providing any information, I just have to provide this medical disclaimer. This information is not designed and does not provide medical advice. All content, including text, graphics, images, and information available on or through this packet, which again, I've provided a link in the comments. Feel free to click on it and print it or just view it as I'm going through this live session, are for general informational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You take full legal responsibility for whatever decisions you make regarding your own healthcare. This material is offered solely for educational purposes. The suggestion is that you think clearly for yourself and make your own decisions with the input of a licensed health professional, should you choose to consult one. So, I see a couple people on here. I'm so excited. One from Kentucky. You're not too far away from me, Martha. And then one from Venice, Florida. Nice. Okay, so the very first thing I want to talk about is doing Essiac well. So that's a little bit different way of phrasing taking Essiac, right? Doing Essiac well. Essiac will help you better if you are willing to help yourself, because a tough diagnosis affects every aspect of your life. It may mean making some drastic changes in your life. And we could do a whole nother video on this one, but be an informed patient. It's imperative. Be an informed patient and make those decisions for yourself. Trust yourself to know intuitively what's best for you and your own body. And if you are suggesting Essiac to a loved one or friend, my recommendation is you ask them to join our group, our Essiac Tea users group on Facebook. It's really important that they take ownership of their own health care. I know as loved ones, as friends, we want to go and we want to help other people, and maybe they're open to that. But I've seen a lot of times where people will purchase Essiac for people, or they'll make it for friends or loved ones, and they won't take it. So just make sure they're completely on board before suggesting anything such as Essiac. So we're going to get into how to take Essiac. 1, take Essiac on an empty stomach. The first thing in the morning or right before bedtime, or because sometimes we take it twice a day. 30 minutes to an hour after meals and after small meals, and 2 hours after eating a large meal. We don't recommend taking Essiac with anything except for clean, warm water, and that's optional. And how you do that is you take your dosage and you add the clean, warm water to that dosage to make it warm. Some say it aids in absorption. I've not really seen a whole big of a difference, but it's a preference thing. Some say it tastes better if you take it warm as opposed to cold. So if you want to do that, you add 8 tablespoons of hot water, or double the amount. So 4 ounces of water to your 2-ounce dose to dilute it, or to make it warm, or to make it taste better, whatever reason you want to use for taking it warm. So then, after you've taken it, you want to wait at least 15 to 30 minutes before taking anything else except for water. When you first start Essiac, meaning you have never taken it before, you should use half of the recommended dosage for the first 7 to 10 days. And this is just to ensure that your body's detoxing isn't overloaded. Sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes we will find individuals who detox at a much more drastic rate than others, and they'll just exhibit symptoms. Some symptoms could include flu-like symptoms, headache, achiness, general detox symptoms of just feeling like you've got something, like you've got a cold or a flu. So we recommend you take half a dose if you're only taking it once a day, or you take 1 dose for the first 7 to 10 days just to see how your body's going to react to it. And most people don't have any issues at all. And lastly, we also recommend to drink plenty of fluids. The general recommendation is to drink half your body weight in water daily. So for the unrealistic example of someone weighing 100 pounds, or most people don't weigh 100 pounds, you would drink 50 ounces of water. And that's generally what we suggest to help the body flush toxins and reduce possible detox symptoms. Your body absolutely needs water to heal. Your body absolutely needs water to process things properly and to detox properly. So if you have questions during this, please feel free to ask me. I can see your comments. It is a little bit delayed, but I can see them. So, hey, we're progress, right? Progress. So regarding dosage, there are 3 different categories we kind of separate the dosage into. The first, and this is most of the individuals' categories, it's a cancer or chronic illness dosage. The recommended dosage is 2 ounces, which is 60 mLs or a fourth a cup, twice a day, with a break of about 3 to 7 days, your preference, every 4 to 6 weeks. So every month to month and a half. If you choose to use more than that, we recommend 2 ounces 3 times a day for 1 month, and then take a break for a few days because your body has been working itself trying to detox, and it absolutely needs to take a break. And also, when we kind of fluctuate some of the things that we do and take, our body responds better after we've given itself some rest. So you definitely do want to take breaks. How often is up to you. Excuse me. And that is for chronic cancer and chronic illnesses. So 2 ounces twice a day, up to 3 times a day. If you are taking it preventatively, you want to take 2 ounces once a day. You can take twice a day. I don't think it's as necessary for about 6 months out of the year. And after about 6 months, I would do it during the spring and during the fall when you know you're going to get allergies, and the fall and winter when you're going to get crud. So I would recommend taking it during those times. You can take it all year long with breaks like we recommended in the cancer and chronic illness dosages, but that's not necessary. And then we've got the maintenance, which can be one of 2 things. The maintenance is you've been given an NED diagnosis or no evidence of disease diagnosis after a cancer diagnosis. We suggest that you continue taking the tea for an additional 2 years. And the reason being is our cancer cells on tests only pick up cancer cells in the millions. And everyone has cancer, right? Everyone has cancer cells of some sort. And we need to make sure that our bodies are continuing to process those cancer cells properly through our detox pathways. So we definitely recommend an additional 2 years after that diagnosis to ensure that your body is continuing to get rid of the cancer that your body is working to fight. Okay. Again, I do have the link for this file, and I will provide it both on the Essiac Tea users group, and it's in the notes, the comments here of this live. But there's a dosage chart if you decide to give Essiac to your pets or to your children, and it's based on dosage. So anything under 100 pounds, you will use anything or anyone, right? A kid is someone, would be 100 pounds or less, and you would use this dosage. I personally have experience using this dosage with my children, and we've not seen absolutely any issues with it. We do see that it helps my daughter. She has seasonal allergies, just like my husband, and it helps her with seasonal allergies. So we do use the dosage chart, and we also use the same dosage chart and recommend it for pets. So we do have that on our Essiac Tea users group, and it is on this slide as well. And if you're using Just Tea's pre-made, you would cut that dose in half. This chart is per dose. So if you wanted to give it to someone, you would give it twice a day. So, for example, I have a 10-pound dog. I am going to give 2.5 mLs or a half a teaspoon twice a day. And I'm going to give you some recommendations for pets here in just a second. An example that people are really specific sometimes. So let me just caveat this by saying we have it by 5, under 5 pounds, 5, and then it goes up by 10s all the way to 100. So if your pet is somewhere in there between, the 10s, use your judgment. If you feel like they're closer to 20 pounds than they are to 10, you might try starting off at the 10 dosage and then working your way up to the 20. Excuse me. But some suggestions for giving it to pets is pets may experience diarrhea when taking Essiac. So it's especially important for the first day at least. They have ready access to the outside to go to the bathroom. And you want to make sure you have plenty of water available for them. And if you needed to apply it to skin, if they have skin issues, a lot of times we say tumors or other things, then you can apply the tea directly to the affected areas. How you give it to a pet depends on if your pet likes it. There are some pets that will take it straight. That's awesome. But if for some reason they don't, then I would recommend using a little oral syringe or adding it to some bone broth or adding it to their wet food or dry food. Excuse me. Man, I have a little bit of a dry throat here. Okay, Essiac do's and don'ts. Essiac should not be administered intravenously. It shouldn't be left out of the fridge for long periods of time. Goodness. Mold will develop very quickly. And it should not be microwaved or frozen. Complex teas should never be microwaved or frozen. It just messes with the chemistry of the tea, and you don't want to do that. And it should also be kept out of direct sunlight in a paper bag or an amber or opaque container to block sunlight, and be taken with breaks, again, to give your body a rest from detoxing. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink here real quickly. Okay. There are some Essiac precautions. Organ transplant recipients. Essiac increases the immune system's response and could conceivably interfere with any immunosuppressive drugs, meaning drugs that are meant to suppress your immune system to aid in the acceptance of a transplant. And caution is obviously advised with that because Essiac works to build your immune system up. Another example of a precaution would be immunosuppressive drugs during cancer treatments. Very rarely have I seen folks that use medications that are meant to break down the immune system, but occasionally I see it. So if you have a question about a specific medication, please feel free to comment or ask me on the group, or you have my email address. Goodness. And I would, I will be happy to help you figure out whether it is an immunosuppressive medication. I have worked in the medical field in pharmacy for some time in a previous life. And so I do know enough to know how to research those things. And I would be happy to help you. So if you don't know whether or not your medication is meant to boost or come alongside your immune system or be an immunosuppressant, that is something you definitely should look into. If you have low kidney function, we recommend anything below 20% kidney function. We don't recommend taking Essiac because your body is not processing fluids properly. So if you have a kidney function below 20%, and you decide to take Essiac, you should be aware of the fact that your body isn't processing the fluids in your body, like through your body properly anyway. I'm not saying that it wouldn't help, but it definitely should be something you consider. Brain cancer, we never say no to brain cancer patients who have primary tumors in the brain, but the concern is when you have Mets as well, and it really should be proceeded with caution, meaning you should take a quarter of a dose or half a dose. Reen Case would take people and she would give them dosages, and she would titrate the dosages occasionally to see how their bodies were responding. And so we don't have that one-on-one interaction with each person that's taking Essiac today. But if I were to have one-on-one interaction with you, I would be asking you about your symptoms when you take 2 ounces twice a day versus, cutting it every few days to one time a day, or vice versa. And so you really should, especially with brain cancer, lower doses are recommended. And then if you take statins, I know it's really important to look into statins and their effects on your body. But one of the effects is if you take Essiac alongside a statin, it could potentially keep that statin medication in your liver longer, which means its effects stay longer in your body and you're continuing to take it daily. So it could build up unnecessarily. Caution is advised. However, we have people that take statins alongside Essiac and they have not had any issues. So again, I would just consult with your physician if you have any questions on that. I personally would look into alternatives to statins because of their effects on your body are so rough. But everyone has the ability to choose the protocols that they feel are best, and I totally respect that too. Okay, there are 2 more precautions when taking Essiac, and excuse me. In general, Essiac during pregnancy and breastfeeding, totally safe. I took it. My son is 18 months old, and I took Essiac during my pregnancy and found that I had just a much greater pregnancy than I would have otherwise, as far as just energy and feeling just like I was getting over colds or whatever was showing up with my 5-year-old at the time. So it is cautioned, though, if you are pregnant and you have an autoimmune disease during pregnancy, any sort of immune system boosters may be advised against during your pregnancy. So I would definitely talk to your physician. And I want to read this to you because this next precaution is actually not a precaution. It's just letting people know that it's okay. We get this question a lot. Can I take Essiac during chemo or radiation treatment? So we have an RN in our community with 30 plus years who has stated the following. I use all the chemo on the market in the course of a day usually. I have researched each chemo drug plus all the AIs. I have not found any contraindications that the tea will interfere with. Everyone who drinks it has told me the side effects are much less than when they were just doing chemo. And that is such a great thing because I've seen so many people who go through chemo and radiation and the nausea, the vomiting, all the side effects with that. They're just so greatly increased. And if you could take something that helps you with that and you're still able to make the choice to do chemo or radiation. So let me finish reading this. So everyone who drinks it told me the side effects are much less than when they were just doing chemo. Even people with the MTHFR gene mutation that have blocked pathways of 40% are noticing a difference. That is a huge thing. Absolutely huge, because we want to help support people in the decisions they make during their treatments. We have a lot of people who have cancer on our group. I would, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say at least 80% of the people, of the 28,000 plus people, have some form of cancer. in the group. So if you are taking Essiac alongside chemo and or radiation, let us know how it affects your symptoms, or if you have symptoms, or if you don't have any symptoms, because we want to record that for other people to encourage people as well. If you have questions, I only have 2 more slides left. I am happy to answer them. I would absolutely love to answer those for you. So I want to share a couple of testimonials personally that I've received in the last year regarding Essiac, because a lot of times we want to know that it works, right? We want to hear from other people and say, okay, what about my specific issue or what I'm dealing with? What is that going to help with that? So I want to read these two to you. Hopefully you will find some encouragement with us. My mama in her 80s was diagnosed with stage 3 aggressive uterus cancer. We immediately started her on Just Tea morning and evening, changed her diet, and started praying. The doctor insisted on doing a hysterectomy, which mama let them do. They didn't find any cancer at all in her uterus. That's why we drink Just Tea. You can replace Just Tea with Essiac, right? Skin cancer runs in my family, so each morning I rub Just Tea all over my face and drink an ounce. It's funny because we have another lady who uses Just Tea, and she she swears by using Just Tea for her face in the morning to help with aging, to help combat aging, which I've not tried yet, but I have used Just Tea for over a period of 20 plus years after first researching the product. I was so impressed after being diagnosed with cancer in the urinary tract. 15 years later, I'm still clear. I have recommended the product to many others over the years, and approximately 90% were pleased with the results. In the last year, a remarkable result was experienced by my wife of 65 years. A blue-eyed blonde sunbathed in her teens, and 10 years ago, squamous cell cancers began to surface primarily on both legs. During this period, over 15 surgical procedures and more than 30 cancers were frozen. For 9 years, my wife lost sleep due to hives and severe itching. Dermatologists over this period recommended nearly a dozen different ointments and creams, and none provided relief, and squamous cells kept surfacing. She thought, and I agreed, that she should try Just Tea. In the last 10 months, meaning this last year, she has had no hives or itching, but another blessing, not one squamous cell cancer. Unbelievable. Plus, she gets to sleep. Just Tea works for each of us. How amazing is that, right? Absolutely amazing. Okay. Wendy asks, should we be keeping our Essiac in the fridge? I was making my own from herbs I purchased, and they stated to keep in the refrigerator. So the reason why most other vendors recommend to keep it in the fridge is because they don't provide instructions for canning it. Just Tea provides instructions for canning it, which means to add it to a canning jar with a canning lid. If you were to use just any other type of jar that doesn't have a lid that seals, I would recommend keeping it in the fridge. Always, always, always do your best to sterilize your jars and your lids in the way that you can. The easiest way to do that is to put your container, whatever container it is, in a pot of boiling water for up to 10 minutes. Some people like to use the oven. I don't know why, but I'm a little afraid with glass, especially in the oven, because I don't like using that. I can just put whatever container I have. So to answer your question again, you should keep it in the fridge after you make it if you are not using something like a canning jar and lid. If you use a canning jar and lid, you can bring your tea up to 175 to 180 after that 10 to 12 hour steep period. And while that's being brought up to 175, in another pot next to it, you can have your 2 or 4 quarts boiling in water. And right as that 175 is coming up, you take them out with some tongs and let them, The steam will evaporate the water. They'll be warm enough to add your tea. Then you just pop those lids on and it will seal. Okay. Is Essiac tea good for hormonal breast cancer? Yes. The concern is typically with cancer. Okay. So hormonal breast cancer, uh, the myth is that it doesn't respond well to red clover. Red clover is in 8 herb versions of Essiac, and we only recommend 4 herb versions, which do not include red clover. However, if for some reason you do have an 8 herb version, that is not a concern. We do have a resource on our Essiac tea users group. I'm not sure who Cubano is, but if you want that resource, go ahead and email me. My email address right there, and I will send you that resource for hormonal cancer. It breaks down the percentages. It's such a small percentage of red clover, and it's a natural hormone, so our body processes it much differently, and it does not affect hormonal types of breast cancer. If anyone has any other questions, these are great questions to ask. I know I could have went into Herc's reaction. I know one person asked about that. It's right at 6:30, and I want to try and keep these about 30 to 45 minutes long because I know we have other things to do. But if you have, yes, awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad you're in our Essiac tea users group. Sweet. I will send you that direct link then, and you can look at that. But if you're using one of our recommended vendors, you should not be concerned whatsoever. In fact, hormonal breast cancer was not something that could be detected back when Ring Case was treating patients, and she found out about the tea from a breast cancer survivor. So I would not be concerned at all. All right. If you have other questions, I will make sure to look at these comments. I am happy to answer them. That is what I'm here for. The last page is references. So I always want to tell you where I get this information from because I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to look for yourself if you have questions. Can you see my questions above? Martha. No, Martha, I just see I'm sorry, I only see the one that says you're from Kentucky. Will you answer it again? Will you ask it again? And I'd be happy to answer it for you. I can see where you wrote, can you see my question? Okay. So again, I want you to be able to have the resources as well of where I get this stuff from. I use our search function on the Essiac tea users group a lot because people want to hear from other people, right? So if you ever want to find a testimonial and you can't find one, I've got about 25 years of testimonials sitting in a box from 1994 on that I would be happy to go through and look and share. So we found our references from there. Essiac Essentials. That is a book I recommend. If you want a book on Essiac, this is a book I highly recommend. It's their latest one. It's their Centennial Edition by Sheila Snow and Mally Klein. You can get that on the Blue Moon Essiac website. I will make sure to fungal dandruff. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. Nails. Is it good for nails, fungal, and dandruffs? I wouldn't put it past Essiac to be able to help with that. If you do decide to use it for that and see, like, give it 4 weeks and see if there's improvement, let me know. We do have a lot of people that use it for different things that I've never in a million years expected it to be used for. However, since you already have it, Essiac, and you want to try it, go ahead and use it. But one thing that I've personally not related to Essiac is colloidal silver for nail fungal. Dandruffs, I'm not sure. So I will look and see if we have any case files on that. I'd be happy to look into it. Martha, if you still have that question, feel free to comment. I will go ahead and answer any questions. I'm sure we'll get some after the fact from people. So be sure to catch us next week. I am not specifically sure what topic we're going to talk about, but we are going to continue to talk about topics on Essiac because I know a lot of people just want to know the various history, the various uses. We just went through uses last week. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I might do it again because I had so many technical difficulties. Next week, I'll have the screen and me on the same page. As I learn how to do this, I know how to do it. I just need to schedule it in advance. And I was not able to figure that out in advance. So I am so grateful for you guys joining. If you have questions and I close this stream, I will make sure to check them out. You can always ask on the Essiac users group. You can always ask on our website. We have a live chat function on just.t.com. There's a chat with us function. Yeah, of course, Wendy. That link above at the very top, that first comment, is our printable version of the resources that I provided you today. There's much more. All right. And I hope you enjoyed this, got some value out of it. God bless. Have a good evening.